Welcome to the On Stage podcast, where we interview musicians and members of the entertainment community. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a Thursday, and it's almost the end of April, and I'm so surprised that... Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've all celebrated New Year's Eve, I think, 2023, and what? It's almost May?
Time moves fast.
Yes, it moves very fast. So you're probably wondering who this lovely young lady is sitting right here. Well, this is Diane Strand, and talking about the majority of owner of multi-award-winning video production company. She's a producer and acting studio and founder of a 501c3 nonprofit. She's executive producer of Spirit of Innovation and festival director of DigiFest, Temecula, an international film, video, and digital media 3-day festival established in 2017. So before I continue with biography, let's have you tell us who you are, because then we don't have any need of you then.
Well, it's always nice to hear how other people kind of see you as well. But yes, I am. I'm an executive producer. I run a 10,000 square foot studio in Temecula, California, with a green screen, 100-seat black box theater, and edit bays and creative space, where I say we do and we teach. Not only do we have a couple of TV shows, a radio show, and a podcast ourselves, but we teach adults with developmental disabilities how to work in television media and pursue their goals and dreams. I have a prior career life of some A-list shows like Friends and General Hospital and Veronica's Closet when I was in my Hollywood days. But I left the industry, mainstream industry, 20 plus years ago to become an entrepreneur. And now I'm a serial entrepreneur, best-selling author, speaker, and nonprofit founder. And what I kind of do today is I make dreams come true. And I do that by providing hope. And I call that helping one person every day.
Oh, that's excellent. Yes. I really am drawn to the arts as well. And you went to Fullerton, JC, focusing on your education in theater and journalism. So what was that like? Like, you wanted to earn an AA in liberal arts, but what did you expect to get from that?
Well, I would say during that time, I was definitely in a self-discovery phase of my life back then. I loved acting. I knew that acting and the arts kept me connected to school. It definitely allowed me to stay connected enough that I graduated high school. I wanted to go off and start an acting career, but I didn't exactly know how to do that or any ways to really make that happen. And I lived in Orange County, California. You know, I was about 45 minutes outside of LA. And, I was floundering a bit. I had moved out of my parents' house, but realized I wasn't quite ready to do that yet either. So my parents said, well, if you want to come home and go back to school, and try and figure some things out, you can come back. And so I came back home and I went to Fullerton, and I was immediately enrolled in all of the theater arts classes. But, I had to take other classes to be a real student. And so I took a writing course, which was in magazine journalism. And that really started to kick some things off for me and really changed my perspective. And that's where I really started to engage in journalism and media writing and working for the newspaper and the magazine at the college. And it started to ground me and really start to focus me. I don't know that I would say that my big passion and dreams really shifted from wanting to be an actor quite yet. But it was starting to build that foundation in my writing. And once I really started to find my voice through writing, that really really changed things for me.
How did you feel that your life was back then as it is now? Because you have JDS Video Media Productions. Um, you're like, you got all these accolades. It's amazing. Also, TV production, media marketing. You produce professionally and notable theater productions. You did all this stuff like General Hospital, Friends. Did you get a chance to meet the actors and actresses from Friends as well?
I did. Yes, I
You
did.
did. Can you tell the audience what is Courtney Cox like? And then you can tell us what Jennifer Aniston, what are they like? What were they like in person?
Oh, well, I mean, they're wonderful people, and the big thing I can tell you is they're really just like everybody else, that they go to work, they show up, their job is to entertain, and so they show up to do their job. They work really hard. It's not as easy as it looks on TV. It really, they put in work, they put in effort, they care about their community and the people that they work with. It's not like I hung out with them. I can't say that we were, besties of friends, but they always made a point to say hello to me or ask me how my day was going. So they're just real individuals, just like, my day to day now with my job. I walk around, I say hello to people, but that doesn't mean that I'm best friends with them and I hang out with them when my day is done here at the office or the studio that I work at now. So, I think it gave me a real taste that, just because you work in Hollywood doesn't mean that everybody has to have that Hollywood attitude.
So is David Schwimmer nice in real life? Is he actually the character he is outside of the show than he is in inside?
No, I mean, he really is. He's David Schwimmer. The character he played
Yeah.
was Ross Geller.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're two different human beings that just happen to look alike. They're doppelgangers in that sense. So, they're very different people than they characters that they play. So, like I said, he's not someone that I can say that I know who he is. I say hello to him. I had, definitely talked business with him as far as, where his character was developing or things that were going, or maybe some set things. I worked in, much more in the line producing side of things when I was on Friends. I was an associate producer, and so I dealt a lot with the budgets. I dealt a lot with making sure that the unit production managers had what they needed on set. So my communication with the actors was much more just on a small social hello, how's your day going? Maybe I might have to tell them something like you're needed on set in 15 minutes or something like that. But other than that, it wasn't like, our jobs work together. Anytime any of them came into the production office and needed something, they were never anything but very nice and professional. And, when they want something, they know how to get it by being nice to other people.
Good times, good times. That must have been awesome to work with them. Yeah, there was a problem with Matthew Perry a few times with his drinking, and hope that everything has, because they had this new reunion movie out, so hopefully, things worked out with that. Can you tell me what the difference between an executive producer and a producer is?
Well, the executive producer really owns the story. So they're the one who says, I love that idea. Let's run with it. Whether it's in journalism by saying, yes, we're going to cover the water district, or we're going to cover this business or that. The producer is the one who kind of organizes, making sure everybody's coming together. The director knows what the director is doing. The camera people know what the camera people are doing. The scripting is all together. And then that all is brought to the executive producer for their blessing. Sometimes the executive producer is also the producer. So they're wearing both of those hats. But it just really, the executive producer says, this is the story that I want, and they own the story.
That's a wonderful. What is the difference between filming and working on a soap opera like General Hospital and working on TV like Veronica's Closet and Friends and working for Walt Disney Company? Like, what is the difference? Is there any difference with the type of camera it's used, the way producer reacts? Like, we're talking about a soap opera. I mean, that's not like really a TV show. That's not really a movie or film. That's a taping. That's a like what would you call a soap opera? If it's not a film, it's not a TV show, what would you call it?
Well, it's daytime drama. It's very much like, the only difference between General Hospital, Friends, Veronica's Closet, Grey's Anatomy is whether or not they're filmed in front of a live audience, where General Hospital and Grey's Anatomy are much more on the same lines because they're not filmed in front of a live audience, where your sitcoms have a live audience when they're actually filming them. But they're all 3 cameras. They're all studio shoots that are happening. Soap operas, their workload is 10 times harder than your Grey's Anatomy. Grey's Anatomy takes 1 week to shoot 1 episode. A soap opera can shoot 1 or 2 episodes a day, sometimes more. Your sitcoms take 1 week. A 30-minute show takes the same time as your 1-hour show does in that same week to film. So, I mean, it's kind of the process leading up to the production that's probably a little different between your soap opera, your daytime drama to your nighttime drama to your sitcom. That's probably the main difference in those 3 types of shows. But other than that, they go about a lot of the same process. They all do table reads. They all, are 3 camera stage shoots that are blocked and then shot. So soap operas move a little faster. They don't go back and do as many retakes. They might not have as many set up rehearsals because they move faster through the day. Your actors on a soap opera can be far more skilled than any of your other actors because they are memorizing 40 pages of dialogue a day. As opposed to, trying to learn 15 pages in a week, depending on whether you're on a sitcom or, a nighttime drama. Maybe you're learning 25 pages in the week. So, your actors, it's definitely different for your actors. Production's a little different as far as the way things come together and what they rely on, whether the more magic happens in post or in production.
Yeah, somebody like my favorite is Susan Lucci, who's been on My Children since the 70s, and she went right through to the end, like 50 years, 2011, and then he started online. And I mean, to be just a soap opera actress or an actor, and then it's sort of like that's all you want to do because you don't see the main player on anything. Well, I mean, Susan Lucci's been in movies, and she was in a movie. My brother was in the same movie. Um, but most soap opera actors and actresses, you just see them on the soap opera. You don't see them do anything else. Is there a reason why actors and actresses, I know you're shaking your head, actors and actresses would want to stay on the major series and not do anything, and others would just decide, I want to leave and go elsewhere? Do you have any, you're privy to
Well,
that?
I would say, as it would just be like, why does anyone go to a job and end up working there their whole entire life? If their goal is to just be an actor and you land on a soap, you go to work and do what you love every single day. Why leave? Because being an actor has a lot more involved than acting. Are you auditioning? Are you trying to get a new agent? Are you trying to, do different, you want to jump from daytime to nighttime to film to commercials. It also depends. Some follow the money, some follow the fame, some follow the craft. So it really depends on why it is you're doing what you do. How you define success in your own career is really what it boils down to. And the acting is different. I mean, in a soap opera, you embody that character. In a guest starring role on a daytime or sitcom, you step in those shoes for a mere amount of hours. In a film, you dive in super deep for 3 months and then have to let it go. So, it just really depends on how you see your craft. If you really want to be the chameleon, or do you just want to show up and act every day?
That's true. Tell us about the type of theater productions that you've done.
Well, currently I'm in the process of producing The Lion King here at our studio. So we do big musicals, small musicals. We do non-musical, straight one-act plays. My career in the theater industry goes back to my acting days, goes back to my early directing days, goes back to my early producing days. I used to produce theater in Hollywood, and we would bring in schools and bus them in for field trips to see professional theater during the day. I directed plays so I could act in them. I directed plays so I could just make a quick buck to go produce my next play. It just kind of depends on what it is. Now I do plays so they can be inclusive. Those who have a dream of being on the stage get an opportunity with me. Those who want to learn the craft and build a resume get to come be in big shows and not have to earn their keep, so to speak. I don't put anybody in a role that they can't handle, but at the same time, I don't cut anybody just because they might not be the strongest actor out there either.
That's amazing. How do you keep yourself together and sane with all the mental health and all the issues out there? And
I guess I'm a good actor. No, I'm just kidding. I like being busy. I like spinning plates. Like I said in the beginning, my job is to make dreams come true for others. And I do that by providing hope, whether that's allowing someone else to live their dream, providing the opportunity to create pathways for those to pursue it, being the first for them, whether that's we may be their first stop on their big, long journey to a launched major industry career, or we may just be instilling self-confidence into someone so they can show up at school and be a better version of themselves tomorrow.
that's interesting. You've done so many of this. That really just, I don't know how do you have anything that you're interested in outside of your work, like hobbies or things that are non JDS video media productions or whatever?
Well, that would be my kids, but they are JDS. All three of them have the initials JDS.
Oh,
So
nice.
we call that, we have the hashtag JDS family, whether that's the JDS franchise from the studio to video production, actor studio, and nonprofit creative academy, whether that's my three children who all have the initials JDS, my employees, they're part of my family as well. My students and participants in the program, they all make up the family. So, I love to sit on the beach and stare into the ocean. Writing definitely gives me a release. So, it is work related, but at the same time, it's very cathartic to write about my life and my journey and those kinds of things and help inspire others. Sit and talk with friends, stare at a good bonfire. I'm embarking on some travel this year. So, I'm seeing what that is, as I start to, I guess, sunset a little bit and start looking at what my exit strategy be. I mean, I'm still a good 10 to 12 years away from that, but at the same time, trying to put, some different things in front of me to explore. I also know that all that's going to do is open up my eyes to other places that I can help people find their passion, turn it into profits, reach dreams and successes. And through that, I get to, spend time with my kids and my husband, who's my partner in business and life, and um, hang out in the hot tub every once in a while or sit on the beach, at our beach house. So,
So you were mentioning about resumes and people being able to, learn the craft and have a resume. When you hire somebody, is it the resume that you look at, like, or do you have to see proof of what have you been in? What are the theaters that you have been in? What
well,
shows have you been in? How do you hire somebody?
Well, I hire people for a lot of different reasons. Currently, I have 13 employees, everything from an associate producer to a creative coordinator, a social media person. I have teachers and writers. So I look for different things depending on the position. If I'm hiring an actor to put them in a show, I look for format. Different things call for different types of resumes. The acting resume is a very particular format that you follow. So I see if they know that. Have they had real training, or did they really just fall off the turnip truck yesterday and they think they're it? I do believe in a little bit of paying your dues. I had to pay some dues. This is a subjective industry. I'm all about diversity and inclusion, that everybody is welcome, but that doesn't mean you get to just step right out on the stage and be the star either. You have to earn your credits, and how you do that is by getting in a play, getting in smaller productions, being willing to do the commercials. Same thing if you're applying for a job and you're the creative coordinator, you're an editor. Do you give of your talent at the same time as you are trying to earn for your talent? And how that kind of works. Longevity, commitment, sacrifice, all those things are important. So I think you have to find a way to let the person who's reading your resume know that.
I agree. I've been told by many in the profession that that you don't really do very many table reads these days. Are you actually involved in the table read session?
Well, I number one, depends on what kind of program you're working on. Most table reads do still happen, as far as I know. Sitcoms, you're table reading. Your nighttime dramas are table reading every week. Your daytime dramas, not so much. You get your script, you read it, you go through a blocking and a rehearsal. Theaters all start with a table read. You get your script and assigned your part. You sit down, you first do it at a table read. So I think that table reads are hugely important, so you can start to get a feel for the whole show, because then once you really start diving into your own character, it becomes very myopic. And so when you sit down on the table read, you understand how your character plays into scenes that you might not even be in.
So I see. So what happens? So when someone, well, you have a certain character you have in mind, and you have so many people who audition. Is it true that they send in? It's all video auditions, or do they literally are there in reality, right in front of you, doing auditions? Like I was told by another performer that they have to send in a video of themselves performing something. Is it still like that, or do you actually go in as
Well, I
well?
think COVID pushed that along a lot faster.
Mm.
Everyone they were doing self tapes pre COVID, not as much. COVID, everything went into self tapes because nobody wanted to be in contact with anybody. So I think the further we get away from COVID, it'll probably go back to a little bit of both. I think in some sense the self tape is great because it allows casting to be able to reach further than they could ever reach before, because it gives people like, I'm 70 miles south of LA. Doesn't mean that if I booked the job, I couldn't get to LA, but to be able to just go up to LA for a 5-10 minute audition and come back, it has to be worth it money wise, all of those things. If I'm, if I'm an actor who lives out here. So I think the self-tape is great because it allows casting to pre-screen before they invite, the cattle call in. And so it eliminates the cattle call. So I think the self-tape is good. Although we don't act in boxes, it's very hard to be able to saying somebody's personality because we all want to work with people we like, so it's important to be face to face too.
Yeah, that I agree with that. So who makes the final choice whether, for an example, Scott Taylor gets the job as Drew? Who makes the final decision that Scott Taylor is the one to get the part? You, or is it someone else, like director, maybe?
Well, that's really going to depend on the production that they're in. So you're going to have, let's go through them all. If it's in the theater world, you're going to have the director who's pretty much going to have the final say on who their cast is. It does need to be run by the executive producer. If you're in daytime, the casting directors cast all the under 5. They do not need the approvals of production or direction for under 5s in the daytime role. If you're going because your casting directors are all established at that point and trusted. If you are going for something that is a contract role, you're going to go once casting has narrowed it down to the top 2 or 3, that's going to go in front of executive production, and the EP is going to make that decision. When you're in, same with your sitcoms and your nighttime, your directors don't make a whole lot of casting decisions. Number one, they're usually your episodic directors come and go. They may work on 5 episodes of the 13 in those situations, so they don't get too much. That's all pretty much production and producers who are making that decision, unless there's a certain situation like a bigger name or a bigger director who's coming in and they're working on a specific script. They may in their contract get to say, for this role, because it's so pivotal, I get to, see the finals and make the final choice. They may be able to have some of that. That's a contracted thing, but most of those are made it's the producer who's making those, except in theater or in film. In film, it's going to be your director making your casting choices with approval from your executive production.
Okay, so the executive producer yourself has to make that choice. So there's a character, woman who's going to play Sarah, and you got somebody outside of who just had a chance to get her very first job in front of the camera, and she gets to be Angela, the daughter, or Melanie, whatever. And then suddenly, Julia Roberts, you told that Julia Roberts is available, and she'd like to take that part. What do you do? How do you break the news to this actress who was hopefully to get the job as Angela? Now Julia Roberts gets the job. You can't say no to a major actress. How do you do that?
Well, number one, there's a lot of things. I highly doubt the unknown actress and Julia Roberts are vying for the same role. Number one, because those things don't usually happen. Somebody like a Julia Roberts on a film, she's attached to the film before you get into all the casting of all the other parts. So, the first thing is if you have a film that's moving forward, let's say it's being produced by Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is going to then, then you're going to have your runner who's going to be either the EP that who's taking the financing of it off of Warner Brothers plate, because Warner Brothers is really your distribution of it. You're still going to have a production company that has to buy into it. Your executive producer is going to own that film. then they have this story. They see Julia Roberts playing this character with George Clooney. Then they're going to try and first get the director on board, who's then you're going to get the director that's going to then go get Julia Roberts and George Clooney. And then you start putting the rest of the production team together to where you get casting involved. And then those other roles get broken down. But now take it in the scenario that your guest star, your co-star, maybe Julia Roberts doesn't want to work with this nobody that you've decided to come up. It's still not the production company's job. There are too many people in the middle. It just comes down. There's some sort of payout on it. And, casting tells the agent calls the actor and said, thank you. You got paid $2,500 for all your time you invested. They're going in another direction. And that's just how the cookie crumbles in the business.
That's interesting. So Julia Roberts would be already tied to the movie. Then just when you're about to start filming, she opts out. So what do you do then? Because a lot of things have happened. Like Eric Stoltz actually was supposed to be Marty McFly in Back to the Future, and then they fired him, and they got Michael J. Fox, and then they had to reshoot those scenes. And then you have others that are tied to production, and they suddenly drop out, and they get a new actress. Like, for instance, Genevieve Bujold, Canadian actress. She was supposed to be Captain Catherine Janeway. In fact, it wasn't Catherine Janeway. It was Captain Jennifer Janeway, I think. And then she opted out, and we all know Kate Mulgrew became Catherine Janeway. So they had to reshoot the scenes over. And how do you deal with that, reshooting the scenes? Because, one of them decides, and then they have to get. So how does that? There's a lot of problems with that, isn't there?
Well, nothing that money can't fix. I mean, that's really the bottom line. It's when those things happen, it usually costs production companies a lot of money. Somebody drops out, something changes, those kinds of things. Those are, they're all, it's all financial, in that sense of what happens. If you have to go back and reshoot, you go back and you reshoot. Most people are tied to some sort of contract in some way. So I would imagine if somebody is getting fired or they're changing things out, there are consequences for all those things. Those are the things that, just don't get out. I don't live much in the film world. I'm a television girl. I've never worked on a film before in my life. So independent, small things but never really worked on a film. I'm a TV girl. I'm a theater girl. I work in media, journalism, and broadcast. So, I go to the movies just like everybody else.
What is your favorite? Broadcasting, TV girls? What's your favorite? If you could only stick with one, what would it be?
TV production? It would have to be broadcast. Because that's what I do now, and I don't see that changing. I am definitely, I guess somewhat of an information seeker. I'm a lifelong learner, so I really like that side of the media and journalism. I don't get caught up in I don't do current event and breaking news and the sensationalism of it. I want to know the why, the what's, the who's, the where's, and then how, if this is a problem, how do we fix it? So that's the kind of journalism that I do, very magazine style, very informative journalism. That's what I really like the most out of it. I still watch General Hospital every single day. I started watching that when I was in 6th grade with a babysitter, and I watched it every day except for the 2.5 years I worked on the show, because I read all the scripts. So I was 2 weeks ahead of where the production was. So that was the only time I did not watch General Hospital, was when I was on it, because I watched them film it. I sat and did the post. I was reading the scripts. I was way ahead, so I knew what was happening. So I didn't sit and watch the show as much. I would catch it when it would play in the office or on set or something, but I didn't watch it for those 2 years. But the minute I stopped working on General Hospital, I went right back to watching it every single day. And still to this day, I still watch General Hospital. It's my vice.
I know. It's like I can imagine you with your friends. You're watching an episode of General Hospital, and she's crying, going, "Oh, he's gonna die!" And the guy's in the hospital bed, and he's going, "Oh, please, please tell me that everything will be okay." And you're sitting there going, "You know how long it took me to, you know how long it took to film that scene right there? He had it," and he goes, "Shut up! You ruined it for me," you know, because you knew that you were there when the person, and like all he did was get out of the bed, have his lunch, talk to people, and go back. It's kind of weird when that happens. It doesn't happen in real life, obviously, but that must have been an issue. Like, don't don't invite Diane for dinner or lunch because she's going to tell us how everything is done. She's going to ruin it for us.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of that though. I like the movie magic, TV magic that we create. I don't like to give all the secrets away as far as, I'm not one to sit there and go, oh, guess what's coming up next. So, I don't do that. I like to see how the audience reacts. I like to see if it's a similar reaction to mine. I love to see when I'm directing something, if they got what I was trying to put out there. So, that's kind of, what I like about it is I like seeing people go, oh, wow. Ooh, that's really cool. Because then I made them feel something. They learned something. They got a reaction from it. When they watch my show, I love when they put it down and they go, wow, I didn't know that. I just learned something new. I see that place every day. I drive by it and I didn't know that was. And I'm like, okay, I did my job today. That was what I was supposed to do.
Yeah, and the whole issue with like the Brady Bunch house and where it is, and that they were threatening to, sell it and stuff, and there's massive people who drive past there and take a picture of it because that's the house that Brady Bunch was in. So it's kind of interesting. Um, but yeah, so tell us. I'd like to be interested in knowing your actor studio for all ages. What's that all about? What did you do there?
Well, we have an actor studio. We've launched well over 100 careers into the entertainment industry, allowing
Wow.
them to pursue their passion in acting. My husband is the master acting coach. He is, while I did have a small acting career, I found my way backstage and producing, directing, writing. He stayed in front of the camera and on stage a lot longer than I ever did. He's been in movies with Bruce Willis, Christopher Walken, George C. Scott, and lots of film, television, commercials. So he's the master acting coach. He, teaches the youth, teens, and adults, as well as directs the majority of the plays that we produce around here. And then I come in and I really help when we get down to helping them find an agent or manager. He's the show, I'm the business, and together we're show business. And that's part of what our best-selling book is about. It's called Show Business, and it's how to break into the industry as an actor. So we give real solid takeaways and nuggets that you can do, what websites to be on, how to set up your resume, how to make your pictures the right pictures, what you need to know as far as getting an agent, what their job is, what their role is, what a manager's job is, what their role is, how casting works, as well as he gives acting advice. It's a lot of mindset, because if you're going to break into this industry, you need to be an actorpreneur and pursue that. And so that's a lot what our book is about. That's what our classes are about. That's what that workshop is about, that helps you get an agent or a manager. One of our biggest that we've launched is just finishing a contract on the show 911, playing Angela Bassett's daughter on that show. We've had actors doing lots of national commercials and Super Bowl commercials and showing up on Grey's Anatomy and different TV shows, lots of Disney, Nickelodeon. We work with, like I said, a lot of youth come in here and want to be, the next Disney star. And then I tell them, do you want to be an actor or do you just want to be on Disney? Because Disney probably only has 5 new shows that has actor on it. They're all animated characters, or they're showing reruns, or they're doing that. So why is it that you want to be here? And then we get down to, if you want to learn how to act and you want to be an actor, I can teach you how to act, and we can help you move into being a working actor. I'm not promising anyone that I'm going to make them a household name or they're going to win an Academy Award or be in some big, huge film. But if you want to act and work in this industry, I can show you how to do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of master classes out there. There's a Dustin Hoffman master class, and I think a few others have followed suit. I think Christopher Walken has one, how to how to do, how to be, how to cry, how to yell, how to scream, how to do vocal exercise. Kind of interesting how if you want to be an actor, you can't just you have to feel the part. You have to be the character. You have to be, if it asks for a madman, you have to be a madman. Stuff like that. It's kind of interesting how successful that would be to you. Also says that you were part of a reality program. What reality program was that? Are we familiar with that one?
Oh, well, yeah. That was reality television is what drove me from the entertainment industry to being an entrepreneur. I worked on shows like Survivor, Big Brother, Joe Millionaire.
Joe Millionaire. Wow.
Yeah.
That's going way
I
back.
was a part of the very beginning of reality TV in early 2000. So that was
neat.
the shows that were going on then. And, but I'm sure it still is, but it was very cutthroat because then it truly was unscripted. Today, reality television is not as unscripted as everybody would think it is.
Really?
Right.
Tell us more.
Oh, well, I mean, they're setting up scenarios more and more now to create situations where before it was letting the camera just run and then trying to figure it all out in post to put it together. But now they're setting up real scenarios, to be able to stage certain things, go back and mock certain things. It's just not as candid and real as it once was. And when it was like that, it was just 24/7 of high intensity yuck.
Wow.
It was definitely very, I would say, personality shifting for some that, it was a cutthroat side of the industry, the reality side.
Are you telling me that The Bachelor and The Bachelorette are all scripted?
No, it's not. It's still considered unscripted television. It's just much more staged, unscripted, where they are making certain situations play out certain ways, not letting it be as candid because they're not, people are much more guarded now. They're aware of what's going on. So they have to create these situations to create some of the drama. They're not putting words necessarily in people's mouths, but they're putting them in situations to make some of these extreme emotions happen.
Were you present when Ryan Sutter and Trista Ryan met and then they fell in love and got married? That was, I think,
I was
one of The Bachelor.
That
I think
episode, I worked as part of the show. But I didn't go on location with them. That wasn't the part of where I was. I was on the production side of making sure all the gear and everything was flowing in the production and the post side. So, my role in what was going on set was not happening, so I wasn't a part of their love story. Although if my memory serves them correctly, it was very close to the fact that she almost picked the other guy or something like that.
But I hope that usually that if that other bachelorette, whatever, or the bachelor picked another girl over the one that he likes, it wasn't actually pushed on them. It was his choice. Because now you're telling me every time I watch The Bachelor, which I haven't actually watched in a while, I'm going to think of you when you sit down and say, well, perhaps that part was scripted. Because I've seen a lot of interesting things happen on reality shows. I'm thinking that could not be a reality thing. It's probably scripted. So, but you never know what's scripted and what isn't, right?
It's not scripted to what they say. it is scripted and planned to create the scenario that blossoms.
Yeah. It also says that you're deeply involved with community and the parts with actually disabled people as well, which is kind of neat. Uh, do you help them discover their talent? Because I've seen a lot of people with disabilities, like talented ones with Down syndrome and others in a wheelchair, are actually in Dhar Man episodes. Very nice, very beautifully presented, beautifully talented. Is that what you mean?
Well, I have a Title 17 job training program for adults with developmental disability, and it teaches them video production, multimedia.
Okay.
They learn acting, news reporting, editing, camera work, as well as live stage work. We've placed over 7 of these adults into paid internship opportunities,
Wow.
whether that's running camera, running lights and sound, being on camera. Some of them are actors. We've gotten them an agent, and they are auditioning. I have 2 that are auditioning today for Arizona tourism spot. So
Wow.
they are working, building their careers. So that's, what I do to help them live their passion and dream, to be able to move that forward. Today it's, running the nonprofit. I help K through 12, higher eds. DigiFest is all about bringing that collaboration together. It's a 3-day festival that brings everyone together to be able to understand arts and economics. It is an art festival for the community, as well as an art festival for the art creators to be able to network and level up, learn from those who have come before them, who are professionally working and successful. We just finished the festival. I had Emmy Award-winning actors, directors, producers. We had podcasters here. We had influencers. We had people teaching artificial intelligence in the creative world. I had
Wow.
Adrian Paul from the Highlander series here. And then we
Really?
even brought in the state
Oh,
treasurer, who talks about arts and economics. So
I like him.
it's,
I used to watch that show.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, it just brings the community together. And, as well as I volunteer for other boards and other things around the community, because when you have a happy, healthy community, everyone tends to be able to have a happy, healthy life.
That's amazing, Diane. Everyone, JDS Studios, creative services, concept development, television production, corporate all hands, live events. We'll link all her information down below, unless in case you want to get in touch with her. Production services, the 7,000 square foot production studio in Temecula. It's well equipped with pre-production, scripting, videography, green screen production. Amazing. She's so talented. I hope that you can look at also the multimedia solutions. So tell us about the spirit of innovation. You also says here that your next live streaming will be May 11th. What do you do with that?
Well, Spirit of Innovation is our magazine style news and information show for Riverside County. Riverside County has 2.4 million people inside the
Wow.
county. We are the county that is adjacent to Orange County and LA County and San Diego County. We're right there in the middle. And our local media is for ABC, NBC, CBS, it's all LA media is what we watch. We turn on the news. I watch the same thing as people who live 100 miles north of me watch. And so we don't have, obviously, they're not covering our local anything, businesses, community, weather, traffic, sports. So we created the first Riverside County local news and information show.
Wow.
And it's broadcast to all 2.4 million people, as well as live streamed and on our YouTube. And website. And it's also the vehicle we use to teach and train the adults with developmental disabilities. They are crew. Sometimes they're developing stories and segments. Sometimes they're on camera doing the reporting. Sometimes they're sharing good to know and need to know information. So
Wow.
it's a vehicle for teaching as well as for the community, because it's the only local news and information that covers, things that businesses and residents need to know about right here in our own backyard.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then you also have the JDS Creative Academy as well, Visual Performing and Digital Arts. You this is amazing that you don't stop. You keep going. You just look, there she is, where she, like, is there any time that in your life that you just wanted to give up?
Oh, no, never. You know, I'm not, giving up is not a word that, I use. Showing up is a word that I use. And I'm not saying that I haven't pivoted. I have definitely pivoted in my life, and made changes so it works better for those around me as well as myself. I'm not superhuman. I do sleep. I do spend time with my family. But I love my work. I love what I do. It's a passion. And so when I'm working in my passion, it's giving me as much pleasure as hopefully it is creating value for others. I make a comfortable living. I'm by no means rich. I would be much richer if I would have stayed in Hollywood on shows like Friends and General Hospital and all of those things. Everything I do either goes to whatever the family needs, or right back into the business and right back into our students and how to
Wow.
make that happen. So, but what else would I do? This is my dream. And, I can't even say that it's a dream that when I look back, I can see exactly why I'm right here where I am. But if you would have asked me 7 years ago if I would be doing what I'm doing even today, and I had the nonprofit, I didn't have there are things that I'm doing today that I couldn't have ever saw, but I wouldn't have them any other way.
So you think there's a fourth company in there somewhere? No, not a fourth, fifth, or sixth company you want to develop?
Yes, my new mission right now is Arts Across America, Arts Across California. So we're in the process of taking all our programs that we do in person and trying to make them online digital programs. And the goal is for anyone who wants to create a creative academy or actor studio, I can give you the classes and the curriculum and show you how to do it so you can create a nonprofit in your area, and the arts will roll out because the arts provides a level playing field. The arts touches every industry that's out there. It doesn't matter whether you're a CPA, you're in the auto industry, you're in the entertainment industry. Everyone markets and communicates with graphics and video and radio and podcasting today. It's the way we are communicating, the way we make things matter. So if I can provide a pathway for those who want to come up after me, that's what I'm here to do. And if I can help others open doorways to make the workplace more inclusive and diverse, and bringing the arts into all industry and seeing that it's art and that it is a viable industry, that it's not what's your backup career. You can do this, you can make a living. Then I've lived my mission.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I want to ask about if I have a script and I really want the big, I don't want to say big wigs. So I really want it to get out there and to actually start filming, start hiring everyone, like executive producers or directors or actors, actresses. How do I go about doing that? I can't just send a script down to the major directors down there, because I know they all get rejected. A lot of them get rejected. So how do you get your seen and read?
Well, the first thing you have to do is you need to register it with the Writers Guild. Nobody will take work and look at work that is not registered. So that has to be the first thing that you're going to do. And there are several ways to go about registering or certifying your work, getting from a poor man's copyright to paying for a full copyright. So that would be the first couple steps that you go through. The next thing is you need to put together a treatment. You have to have a treatment, and you need to have a pitch deck to go with it. You should have an agent. The agent is the one who submits it to the production companies and the directors. There is no director or producer that's going to just read unsolicited work, because the minute they read something that is unsolicited and comes in that way, be prepared for your work to either be stolen, and then you can't really, and that's why they won't read it, because then they're all going to be accused of stealing your work. Because if I was to read your script and send it back, and then 3 months later I decide, oh, I've got a great idea, and then you say, wait, that was my idea, you just read my script, I'm going to be like, no, that was my idea. I create this stuff all the time. So that's why you don't want to, that's why they won't read it, because they're going to be accused, because everything has already been done and remade. So I don't want my next great idea to look like your great idea you just had. So I'm not going to read your script.
I do have a few ideas. I actually pitched to a friend of mine. He was very interested in at least one of them. Yeah, and that's very interesting, because I got a lot of ideas I want to flesh out, and it takes a long time. Like, I wrote one script before, but it took a long time. And when it was going to be performed, it was a play that I wrote. It's sort of like a 15-minute play. So I used to write plays, short stories, and things like that. But to get something out there, to literally see my talent, my play, whatever, actually being performed, that'll take a long time. I mean, it's so much to do out there. So I can wonder why scripts are kind of like rejected. Like, they probably have a pile of scripts rejected. The one lady, Rebecca, I had on my podcast a few weeks ago, she said that this pile of scripts, you have this maybe pile, you have the definitely pile, and then you have a rejection pile. So it's kind of interesting what goes on in that. And I guess it must be pretty difficult to do what you do.
And you have to get past the gatekeepers. I mean, because to get a director or a producer to actually read it means that all the wannabe script writers read your script and really liked it, because they're usually the readers. Is the script written in format? Is there too many grammatical errors? And then they write up a synopsis of, who's the antagonist, the protagonist, does this story relate to any other story that you can think of? What is the synopsis and doing this? And then on a scale from 1 to 5, should it, does it move up the food chain? So if one of those readers says, no, it could be the best thing that ever hit, but it doesn't even make it to the literary agent to read it, to let alone get to go to a producer or a production house or a director. So, there's a process.
If I want my movie Townscape to be fledged out and to be produced and directed, and actors and actresses, and then the day it's getting ready to film, how long before they get the script to when they start filming? What's the time in between?
Well, you're in the film world, so again, you're a little out of my area of expertise in the film world when you get there, but that all comes back to budgeting and finance. So just be, usually if they're moving forward and you're casting and you're in your table read already, you're in production. That is moving forward. It's what it takes to get to the first day of production. And that's all the financing and everything happening behind the screen scenes. And then you could be 2 months into production and your financing could be lost. And then the film never moves any further than that. Happens all the time.
So did you have to approve that episode when Rachel said that she was pregnant?
no, I didn't have any kind of authority like that.
Yeah, Ross and Rachel. But they never really in the end got together, because in the end you found out it was Rachel and Joey that got together. So that was kind of interesting. The Friends universe.
You're beyond where I was, so I don't know.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, well, you do a lot of work. It's really amazing. So you mind me asking who the William Stefane Foundation is all about?
Oh, well, the William Stephanie Foundation is a nonprofit in California that helps business and business entrepreneurs grow and find programs through the Small Business Administration. So they promote equity and inclusion and helping small business thrive. They're connected with the Small Business Administration and the Treasurer's Office of California. And I've been honored and grateful to be able to speak at the events that they throw for small business and entrepreneurs to be seen in their business or grow their business or learn business strategies.
Show your book again. There it is. It's called Show Business by Diane Strand. Scott and Diane Strand, her husband, and we will link it below. I guess it's available on Amazon and other...
Amazon or wherever books are sold.
Excellent. So everyone check that out. We really appreciate this, Diane. Really, really loved talking to you. Yeah, so I think I might make use of you, actually. I'm really interested in taking one of your courses.
Well, great. Well, we would love to work with you, and anybody that we can help find their passion and purpose and allow them to pursue that and level it up. That's what we're all about.
I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, Diane. I really appreciate this. So we're going to end this stream. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.